As you move down the spectrum, you have at the top lower rewards and lower risks, and then as you get closer to the bottom, you have higher risk but also higher rewards. So the first place that I want to start is talking about jobbies. Jobby is my affectionate word for a hobby that is disguised as a job or a business. It's basically a hobby that you make money from or a side business. And let me tell you, jobbies are awesome. Because if you've ever had a hobby that sucks up a lot of your money, you'll know it's good to have a hobby that actually makes some. How many of you have a hobby that takes up tons of money, like golf or scrapbooking, or I've collected dolls for many years. That's a huge, huge suck of money. So it's great if you can find a way to do something that you're really passionate about and that's all about you and you can make some money out of it as well. That's great. But know whether it's a hobby or not. If it's something that you're going to just stay focused on and you don't really want to think as much about the customer, you just want to think about your own fulfillment, then you have a hobby. Now, the thing about the jobbies that can give you some problems, two things. The first thing is that if you're delusional, that you think you have a business and you actually have a jobby, you can throw a lot of money at a jobby. So you really want to set a budget. Because I know all kinds of people who are going to become millionaires out of making cookies and making jewelry, and they've got, stockpiles of chocolate chips and beads in their house, like $25,000 worth. So you really want to go into a jobby understanding what it is so that you have a budget. The other thing about a jobby is that you're not going to be able to make enough money to go back and make that difference that we're talking about. That's not going to be something that's going to bridge the chasm, if you will, between men and women. So that's the job. Next, you move along, and if you do professionalize what you do, you may end up with what I call a job business. And I will tell you that 80% of the small businesses in the United States fall into this category. And what does that mean? What is a job business? Well, it's a business, but it's completely dependent upon one or two people. My mom and her partner's business was very much like this. If they went on vacation, there was no business. I have a friend who is a massage therapist. If she gets hit by a bus, there is no more business. So the challenge with a job business, and if it's all about you and all dependent upon you, is that if you want to take some time off or you want to build something, it's not going to happen. And there's only 24 hours in a day. And I don't know about you, but I like to shower. I advise it from time to time. You got to sleep. If you have families, you have to take care of your families. Some of us like to have sex too. So there are things that you need to do within that 24-hour period that take up time. And eventually, you're going to tap out the time. So there's only so far that you can take a job business. The other issue with a job business is that sometimes you end up working more hours for the same or less pay than you would if you had a job. How many of you have ever seen those crazy wedding shows on the Style Network? Have you guys seen those before? Well, for my book, I interviewed this fabulous woman. Her name is Stella and Sarah, and she is one of the wedding planners, and they feature her on all these on the Style Network. And what she told me is that she's actually working more hours now for less pay than when she was a catering manager for a banquet hall. Oh, and by the way, she thought that she was going to get to pick out napkins and flowers and stuff all day long, and that's actually a very small fraction of what she does. She spends most of her time networking, so it wasn't what she really signed up for. So I think that the takeaway here in the job business is if you go back to my mom and Judy and the $4 an hour because they were doing everything themselves and it was completely dependent upon them, is that you're going to tap out your time, and with the 24 hours in the day, you're also going to have a hard time building that bridge. So then we go along to a bona fide business. And my definition of a bona fide business is a business that is not dependent upon any one or a couple of people to run. If you think about Walmart, you could take away any cashier, you could take away the CEO, you could take away the district manager, and Walmart's still going to keep going. I mean, depending on who it is, there may be a little bit of disruption for a few days, but it still exists. And it's not just big businesses. How many of you know Dave Taylor and his site, Ask Dave Taylor? Great site. Well, Dave's pretty much a one-man band, but the way that he's set up his business, and if you don't know the business, it's a website where he troubleshoots technology and does technology reviews. The way that he set it up is almost like the Ann Landers kind of for technology. And really, he could train somebody else to do that, and he could step away from that, and it would still be a running, viable model. He might not tell you that. He might say, oh, well, no, it's all me. But I'm telling you, that's a model that could run without Dave if he decided he wanted to sell it one day or if he wanted to pursue something else. So there's ways for small businesses to create these bona fide business models. And what's really nice about